parenthood. It's called responsible parenting. You sit down with your wife and say to her, Dudu, we go have the first baby 3 years from now, after we build the house and we have the car and we have this and that, and then we go have the first baby. And then we go space out for 3 years, and then we go have the second one. So you sit down on your plan. What you have attempted to do is to write for yourself, called family planning. Anyone who attempts to take over from Allah and do the right thing for themselves commits shirk. You know, that shirk is all around us in the world today. Illa ma sha Allah. Affecting everybody. Did you hear the story about the fella? He clutched his heart, had a pain, rushed him to the hospital. They put him under the machine, say the heart clogged. He had to get bypass right away. Operate on him, triple bypass. Luckily that they had this hospital and they had this good doctor. And the man lived, come back home. You know, if he didn't go to that doctor and that hospital, he'd have dead. You never heard it, sister? Come on and tell me. You never hear people say that? You know, if he didn't go to that hospital and he didn't have that operation, he'd have dead. Oh, I see. Oh, life and death in the hands of the doctor now, And life and death in the hands of the hospital now, And life and death in the hands of this medicine, Life and death no longer in Allah's hand, What is the implication of someone forgetting Allah, forgetting that life and death are in His hands, and now being convinced that life and death in the hands of some doctor, some hospital? That is shirk. Everywhere we turn in the world today, the sunnah of Nabi Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam is abandoned. Everywhere that we turn in the world today, illa ma sha Allah, mankind has embraced shirk. And so truly, truly, the very heart and substance of the religion is gone. And nothing remains of the religion but the shell today. If shirk is such a great sin, how great? Allah says He is prepared to forgive all sins. Inna Allah yaghfiru dhunuba jami'a. He is prepared to forgive all sins, but He will not forgive shirk. Did you not say so? So this is the worst sin of all. And this is the one we started with, to demonstrate the sorry mess in which we are today. But if shirk is the worst of all, which comes after shirk? It is a sin concerning which Allah has declared that both He and His Messenger wage war. Wage war. That's the word, war. Against those who are involved in that sin. Which sin is it? It is something called riba. Riba is borrowing and lending money on interest. And if after this revelation has come down, you're still lending money on interest and demanding the interest, like right here in Trinidad, right here in San Fernando, right here in the same masjid in San Fernando where people come to perform salat, you have people lending money on interest. I nearly fell down, dropped down dead when I got the report. Yes? Money lenders, lending money on interest privately and hiring lawyers to defend the money that they lent on interest. But I spare them by not mentioning their names. Hopefully that my message will reach them and some fear will enter into their hearts, these money lenders. Because Allah says, if this revelation comes down in the Quran and you're still lending money on interest, then take notice of a declaration of war from Allah and from His Messenger. Is that not harsh language? Well, when I was a child growing up in Chaguanas, I remember there was a man in Kufa who used to lend money on interest. And I remember that this Muslim community 50 years ago was such that if that man had come to the masjid with a bag full of money to donate it to the masjid, nobody would have taken that masjid. Go from here, we don't want your masjid money. And if that man had invited us to his home for a meal, nobody would have gone to eat in his home. That was this Muslim community 50 years ago. Where are we today? The bank manager has the highest status in the society. Yeah? And going and borrowing money in interest from the bank, no big thing. And putting your money in a fixed deposit and living off the interest, no big thing. That's a sensible thing to do. Everybody doing it. What's the punishment? Allah says, وَمَنْ عَادَ فَأُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. Whosoever persists in riba, the punishment for them is the fire of hell, and they will remain therein forever. Forever. Is it only the one who is lending on interest? Or what about the fellow who borrow money on interest to build a house? What about he? The Prophet ﷺ spoke and he cursed. He cursed all four. He cursed them. And he said that they were all equally guilty. Who? The one who take riba. He lend him money on interest, or he put the money in a fixed deposit and he take the riba. Muhammad ﷺ cursed him. Cursed him. Cursed him. He have a chance at all when he stands before Allah. The one who gives riba. He took a loan on interest and he paid the interest. Muhammad ﷺ cursed him, cursed him, cursed him. Do you think people care? I could repeat it a dozen times. Do you think people care today? No. It doesn't matter. Does anyone teach the subject? Is anyone going around to the masajid, to the Muslim community and teaching the subject of riba? No. No, nobody wants to teach the subject. He cursed the one who takes riba. He cursed the one who gives riba. He cursed the one who records the transaction. And he cursed the two witnesses. And he said they're all equally guilty. The very last revelation to come down in the Quran, just before the death of the Prophet ﷺ, was on this subject, riba. Yes. And the Prophet warned us about riba. It doesn't matter, he says, whether the interest rate is high or whether it's low. 25% or 2%. He says the end will still be the same. People go end up in poverty and destitution is just a matter of time. When the rate high, they go reach poverty and destitution faster. If the rate is low, they go take more time. But eventually, they'll be in poverty and destitution. But when the people are deliberately targeted by riba, then what you're looking at is slavery. Have we reached that stage today? Are the masses around the world now living in poverty and destitution? We may not be able to see it that good in Trinidad, you know. Because in Trinidad, if you're earning $3,000 and less a month, you're under the poverty line. $3,000 a month? Eh? Man, it have people in the world today ain't getting even $30 a month. Huh? Salamatullah. MashaAllah. Welcome, Sheikh Ali Mustafa. If you go to Bangladesh, if you go to Indonesia, if you go to Egypt, you will see poverty. If you go to Africa, you will see poverty that you've never seen in this country. Those are the countries which have been massacred by riba and are now in a new state of slavery. The Prophet ﷺ warned. He said, the time will come when you will not be able to find a single person in all of mankind who will not be consuming riba. And whosoever claims he is not consuming riba, verily the dust of riba would be upon him. Verily the vapor of riba would reach him. I want to say to you that we are living in that age today. But we're sleeping. Nobody is losing any sleep over this subject of riba. And when you attempt to teach the subject of riba, people vex with you. Yes? People living comfortably, going to sleep comfortably, singing qasida day and night. While riba has taken total control of the economy around the world today. Now we can see what is the state of a people who say, we are following the Quran and Sunnah, when in fact they have abandoned both the Quran and the Sunnah, and they're not even aware of it. Riba is not only borrowing and lending on interest. Riba is also any transaction through which you rip off people. You rip off people. That is also riba. Any rip-off. Well, the biggest rip-off of all, since our father Adam alayhi salam set foot on earth, the biggest rip-off of all is a rip-off called money. Yes. But who bothers about the subject? Who teaches the subject? Nobody. Nobody cares about it. You have Darul Ulooms all over the world. You have Muftis all over the world. Nobody cares about it. Nobody teaches the subject. And yet the snake is pumping its venom into the Muslim community around the world, paralyzing us. The Prophet ﷺ gave us money. We call it sunnah money. We never even heard the term of sunnah money. What is sunnah money? It's also in the Quran. It's not just sunnah, it's also in the Quran. It is gold and silver coins. Gold and silver coins.